Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. The Yukon government is adding more items to its climate change to-do list. Today, officials released the latest update to Our Clean Future. That's the territory's plan to slash emissions and reach net zero by 2050. Chris Windier has the details.
Our clean future is ambitious, that much is clear, but is it working? Well, that depends. By the most important measure, total emissions, the territory is so far moving backwards. Emissions are up 7% over 2010. Take out the mining industry, though, and they're up just under 1%. That's the figure officials chose to play up Wednesday. John Stryker is the Minister of Energy, Mines and Resources. He says past governments tried to take credit for cutting emissions when all that happened was a slowdown in mining.
Does the climate care? No. The climate cares about emissions, period. And that's what has an impact. So we need to be careful that we treat these things in a way that is going to really tackle the issue. And for mining, that's why we know that it has ups and downs, and that's why we think it is more transparent, more accountable to treat it distinctly and to show that up and down and not use it to our advantage as a government if there is a slowdown in mining.
But the Yukon's population and economy are both growing fast. On a per capita basis, emissions are down 13%. Per dollar of GDP, they're down 18%. Stryker says that shows the plan is starting to gain traction. Still, the government is adding 42 new goals to Our Clean Future. That includes plans, studies, and incentives across nearly every government department.
As outlined in the strategy, most of our emissions come from the transportation sector, heating homes and buildings, and electricity. And that's why our actions target these emission sources. For example, 2 of our new actions we're introducing today focus on reducing the carbon intensity of heating oil and on-road transportation sold in the Yukon to align with BC's low-carbon fuel standard. These actions are a result of the great work of the Yukon Climate Leadership Council and are projected to significantly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions.
But the opposition parties aren't as optimistic. NDP environment critic Lane Treasure says the government straight up ignored most recommendations from the Climate Leadership Council.
What's really frustrating is that the Liberals have ignored almost all of the Climate Leadership Council's recommendations that would help us get closer to that 45% reduction. By my counting, they've accepted 5 out of 47 of their recommendations in this report, which means the vast majority have been ignored. And I mean, I think they've just shown again that they won't deliver a plan to meet their climate change targets, and that's not good enough.
And the Yukon Party's environment critic, meanwhile, worries what the plan will cost households already grappling with inflation.
We need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We certainly understand that, but how we get there, and more importantly, what it's going to cost. That's one thing that this report is absent is anything to do with cost to taxpayers.
Then there's the question of how much does all this really even matter? The Yukon produces less than 0.1% of Canada's overall emissions. That means the territory will need a lot of help from a lot of other places if it wants to avoid a climate catastrophe. Chris Windier, CBC News, Whitehorse.
As we first told you last night, the wildfire that scorched the Ibex Valley in the Yukon this summer was sparked after someone shot at an exploding target. Officials say it was an accident and no charges or fines will be issued. But as Jackie Hong reports, some say there should be consequences.
My well would not provide enough.
Reiner Russman lives in the Ibex Valley. He and his neighbors were under an evacuation alert this July as the fire grew bigger and closer. There were rumors about how it started, but on Tuesday, confirmation from the fire marshal's office. 2 people were shooting at jugs of thunder shot. One explosion triggered what became more than a 1,500-hectare blaze. Russman's not pleased. He thinks the people responsible should find a way to give back to the community.
It's a really, really unnecessary cause for a wildfire.
Brad Cathers is the MLA for the Lake Labarge riding, which includes the Ibex Valley. He noted all the resources that went into fighting and containing the fire. He wants to know if the government will try to recover any costs.
If someone is doing something that is obviously foolish and causes a wildfire, there should be responsibility for that behavior.
A spokesperson for Yukon Protective Services says that won't be happening. They say that's because no laws were broken, which means no fines can be issued. Jackie Hong, CBC News, Whitehorse.
The Northwest Territories is getting $84 million from Ottawa to go toward the costs of this summer's disastrous wildfires. Federal Emergency Preparedness Minister Harjit Sajjan made the announcement today. Sarah Kamilowski has the details.
Northwest Territories wildfires were devastating. Millions of hectares burnt, over 70% of the population evacuated. The wildfires were also devastatingly expensive. In August, Finance Minister Carolyn Wozniak estimated that firefighting costs alone would be about $100 million. The $84 million from Ottawa today is an advance payment under the Disaster Assistance Program. It reimburses provinces and territories for some costs related to disasters like wildfires.
So based on the calculation that was made on what was submitted by the territory, the $84 million is about 50% of what they think it will cost.
That means a $170 million bill is expected in the end. Sajjan said the program should cover about 90% of eligible costs related to the wildfires. As for when the rest of the money will come, Sajjan said it depends largely on the territory. The Northwest Territories government has years to submit eligible expenses, but he said his staff will try and get the money in as soon as they have the paperwork. CBC reached out to the Northwest Territories government to ask how the money will be used, but didn't hear back by deadline. Sarah Kamilowski, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Expansion plans for the Meliadine gold mine near Rankin Inlet have been cancelled. In a letter released today, Agnico Eagles Mines says it has withdrawn its plans effective immediately. If it had gone ahead, the proposal would have extended the mine's life by 11 years. It was already rejected by the Nunut Impact Review Board, but was being considered by Federal Northern Affairs Minister Dan Vandal. In the letter, Agnico called out NERB's decision, saying it was inaccurate and relied on unfounded statements made by participants. NERB said in a statement that because it had already finished its process, it would not be commenting on the issues Agnico raised in its letter. Yesterday, we told you about the death of well-known Nunavut elder Katsak. Her dedication to her family, her culture, and her community was well known throughout the territory. Today, Nunavut politicians are reflecting on her life and her legacy.
I think she leaves such a beautiful legacy behind that embodied strength, that someone who gave so much of her culture, of her way of life, and it's incredible to know the transformation she's herself seen from living on the land to seeing the community mobilized to where it was today. So to hear someone who's seen those life-changing events, who's really played a pivotal role as throughout these processes is just incredible, and I can't mourn, I guess, with the family enough about the loss that we're all feeling.
Yes, Kapi Atagutsiak was a wonderful lady that was very, very humble woman that lived a very good life up to 103 years. When you have someone live this long, you kind of expect them to live forever, and it was her time. And from what I understand, she died very peacefully, and that's something that I'm gonna take to my heart, because she lived a very good life and done a lot of good things for Nunavut and for Canada, and that she's been able to do this right up until her death. And my condolences to the family. Her family is 6 generations. She's got great grandkids, and for all the family that she has raised, she raised a wonderful family, and that tradition of her being very humble and very the warming will continue through the family, and I'm very proud to been part of that chapter.
Katsak died peacefully in Ottawa last Thursday. She was 103 years old. There was a tense rally outside the office of the Yukon's Member of Parliament today. More than 30 people confronted Brendan Hanley about his position on the Israel-Hamas war. Rafsan Farouk-Jugal was there.
Hanley came out to talk to protesters. He says he wants to see an immediate ceasefire and wants to see aid being allowed into Gaza. Some of the people gathered pointed out that it took months and thousands of people dying for MP Hanley to publicly endorse a ceasefire. Earlier this month, Ottawa backed a United Nations resolution that calls for a ceasefire. Several of the protesters also probed Hanley about his own opinions. They said they wanted to know his position, not his party's position.
It's adding money and it's adding more armaments to the genocide is what it's doing. And that's what it's supporting is the armaments industry.
They also wanted to know if Hanley thought the war in the Middle East amounted to genocide. Hanley would not give his personal opinion, and he reiterated the immediate need for a ceasefire. Many of the rallygoers were verbally and visibly disapproving of Hanley's response. The people who gathered refused to speak to CBC, citing concerns over media coverage over the past 2.5 months. Before leaving, Hanley reiterated a need for an immediate ceasefire as rallygoers continued their chants for violence to end in the Middle East. Rafsan Farouk-Jugal, CBC News, Whitehorse.
Meanwhile, talks are ongoing in Egypt as Israel and Hamas work to negotiate another humanitarian pause in the fighting. It would allow delivery of more civilian aid and the release of more hostages. Julia Wong has that story.
Little moments of being a kid against the big backdrop of war. This camp for displaced Palestinian children aims to distract with games, shows, and entertainment. I came to play here because I wanted to be happy, this little girl says, and forget the difficulties of war.
They are not meant to be dead bodies in the streets. They are not meant to sleep in tents. They deserve to have a decent life. And we are trying to mitigate this huge trauma that they're exposed to.
Trauma like this. The aftermath of an Israeli strike in southern Gaza that sent people rushing for help and working frantically to find victims. A mosque was bombed, one man says, a mosque with residents, and there was a school nearby, and there were kids nearby. For Israelis with loved ones still being held in Gaza, hope something will change.
I don't want war. I never wanted war. I want peace and I want my daughter home.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is clear, reiterating Wednesday the war will only end once Hamas is eliminated, he says, adding those who think Israel will stop are not connected to reality. But Israel has opened the door to a possible second humanitarian pause. Wednesday, the political leader of Hamas traveled to Cairo for talks with Egyptian officials, believed to be discussing another truce that could see more hostages freed in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners. Julia Wong, CBC News, London.
It doesn't matter how full of people your house is as long as it's full of love. Now today is not about the future, it's not about the past, it's about this moment.
You can't go halfway with Swan Lake.
There's a lot of stress. I love ballet, and sometimes it feels like it doesn't love me back.
The stakes become very high.
We're just trying to survive right now.
Some people rise and some people don't.
The Great Canadian Baking Show is back.
And the winner is...
Alan, no, it's too soon for that.
How about now?
Give me that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Hello, I want to say Merry Christmas to everyone, my family and my husband, also to my kids in Arm and Wells, my both boys, and my grandchildren are down there, and to Alex and Charlene, the kids, also to Ashley and the kids in Yellowknife, and wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and especially my family back here in Toledo. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a safe Christmas, that everyone enjoys their Christmas and being together as a family.
I'd like to say Merry Christmas to my husband, my children, my grandkids, and to my mom, and to everybody here in Toledo, and my family all throughout the Satu. Just want to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, and I say everybody, and mommy and daddy and my brothers and my grandmas and my papas and my auntie and my uncle and my brothers.
One Whitehorse woman is about to spend her first Christmas with new friends. It's been a year of tremendous change for Pat Fenton. And as Cheryl Kawaja reports, her new friends are working hard to help her feel welcome, even learning her language.
We did Whitehorse, but Pam always said, I live in White Donkey. Whitehorse.
This is the weekly American Sign Language class at Normandy Living, a retirement community in Whitehorse. It's all thanks to new resident and ASL teacher, Pat Fenton.
Gotta be careful, they gotta fix it. People are gonna have to bring the fire hose in. And fire, I thought, wood, put it there, fire. And then Pat's fire is her tree catching on fire.
Living here has been transformative. Before moving to Normandy, Pat lived in social housing downtown. She kept to herself and wasn't able to communicate with many people.
I was kind of done with where I lived before, the old place. Yeah, people smoking, the floor shook. No way. Oh, this is where I want to be. This is the place right here. It's peaceful. I have friends, and they hand this board around where we can write. We eat together. We have coffee, and I'm just smiling all the time. It's great.
Her new apartment is just one of a few social housing units in this new independent retirement building.
Andrew, act out a video. Yeah, perfect. Look at Pat.
Pat's new community has welcomed her with open arms and are eager to learn her language.
There's a growing bunch of us that come, and we have a lot of fun. As you can tell, we tease each other a fair bit.
When you face the same challenges, it means that you have to work towards something together, and you really form quite a bond, which is fantastic for us and the community in general.
Amanda Smith is a support worker for Pat and often translates. She says it's been a remarkable and heartwarming few months for Pat.
What does it mean to you to watch this develop?
Oh, I get emotional. Yeah, often deaf people and people who have disabilities are isolated. Isolated because of their language and not being able to integrate into communities. So to see Pat be here and not need support workers because she's created this own community herself is absolutely a beautiful story. It's a really beautiful story. She's writing a letter. Language is so important to your mental health, and her success story, people are kind, yes, but for them to learn her language makes all the difference. And now Pat's showing us candy canes, so look at Pat. Today we learned about candy canes, and everyone's got these fingers that have arthritis, and it's really funny because people have a hard time signing. Yep, great.
And although Pat loves her new apartment, she doesn't spend much time alone there. She's too busy enjoying her new community. Cheryl Kawaja, CBC News, Whitehorse.
It's a tradition that's fading away, but many people do still enjoy getting a greeting card this time of year. A 12-year-old boy in Nova Scotia is particularly fond of cards, both getting them and giving them. And he's now on a mission to send out thousands. Kayla Hounsell has a story.
Joey Connolly spends a lot of time in this exact spot.
Hours.
Why?
Because I love it.
It's as simple as that. Joey just loves making cards.
He's loved cards since he was a toddler. It's just what brings him joy.
But earlier this year, Joey wasn't experiencing any joy at all. He lives with autism and was being bullied at school. Everything changed when his parents posted on social media inviting people to send him cards for his 12th birthday. He received hundreds.
It was 8 weeks solid of mail. Every day for 8 weeks, there was mail in that mailbox from anywhere from BC to Newfoundland, sometimes Australia.
You're on the cover of that one. Yeah, it turned me into a card.
He's now known as the Card King.
And he was laughing again. It just brought back the spark, the light in his eyes.
For Christmas, he wanted to make 1,000 cards, his favorite number. Now they've made more than 3,000, sending them to schools, seniors' homes, social enterprises, and more.
We did Snoopy, we did SpongeBob. We just had a lot of fun with it. It was a really good time for Joey and I to spend time together.
And then came the offer from Carlton Cards for next year.
Joey's going to be able to design a custom card that will be printed out. All the 6,000 cards that he wants to do will all be taken care of.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Sometimes he delivers the cards himself. This is a group of adult learners.
For Joey to want to come here to participate in this with us means a lot because a lot of our learners have struggled throughout their lives.
Long after his birthday, he's still finding surprises in the mailbox. His mother says the cards give him confidence. They've also improved his reading.
I am so proud of him to come from a very dark place to a place where he's content and he's happy and he's calm and he's just my silly, goofy Joey.
As he mails off the last batch, his mother hopes Joey's story will inspire others living with autism to explore their interests, whatever they may be. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Marshalltown, Nova Scotia.
Families in Yellowknife gathered this week for a Christmas celebration. The Baker Centre had live music, a bouncy castle, arts and crafts, and an unexpected visit from a very special guest. We were there to check it all out.
Horse open sleigh, he laughed as I lay lying there and quickly drove away. Oh, gee.
Yeah, so there's 3 organizations here. We have the YWCA Family Center, and we have Family Connections, and we have Healthy Families, and we've partnered together to do a Christmas party for all the families who might be interested in something like this or attend our programs in the past. It's geared towards families with children ages 0 to 6.
Everything is prepared for them. It's just like fun activity. We have live music. We also have a reading corner for them that kids can come and read. So we will be having a Santa soon in 5 minutes that kids will have chance to take a picture with that. And especially it's so hard. I miss the Santa and Canadian Tire. So today families will also have chance to take a picture with Santa.
I was looking forward to the food, everything. Food, the crafts, and for sure for him, first thing he did is bouncy castle. So yeah, the kids, everything. It's nice.
What did bring us out here today? It was an event that's on our calendar of things to do because when it's cold outside and you're always inside your place, you gotta figure out what's available in the community. No, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody.
Looks like a really great time there. That is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. We leave you with a look at the weather. Have a good night.
So, toast is burning.
Toast is not.
Every time she has a seizure, she smells something burning. Now, if we can provoke that smell by probing the surface of the brain, we'll find the source of the seizures. Mrs. Gold, do you feel anything?
I can see the most wonderful lights.
And now what do you feel?
Did you pour cold water on my hand, Dr. Penfield?
Now what?
Oh,
What is it, Mrs. Gold?
burnt toast. Dr. Penfield, I can smell burnt toast. Dr. Wilder Penfield. He cured my seizures and hundreds more. They say he drew the roadmap of the human brain. We just called him the greatest Canadian alive.
And he can lift anything. Anything at all. He's that strong.
Joe Schuster, will you stop it or you'll miss your train? Now help me find number 5.
Strong, but by day he's a mild-mannered reporter. Glasses, a secret identity.
Honestly, you Canadian kids.
He'd be in this cape.
A what?
A cape. Wearing these blue tights.
A hero in tights, really. Here it is.
Listen, Lois, this guy is faster than anything, I swear.
If you're not fast, you're gonna miss your train.
That's it. A bullet. A bullet. He's faster. No, he's faster than a speeding bullet.
Come on, get on it. No one's gonna read a comic strip about a strong man in tights, Joe. It'll never fly.
Fly, no. But he can leap over tall buildings. Oh, wow, yeah.
See what your cousin Frank says in Toronto.
Wait, Lois. I've got something for you. Here, take it. It's a gift. You never know. It might be worth something someday. Is he great or what? Bye-bye, Lois.
Her particular skill set can be helpful to us.
She's a con artist.
Instead of using your talents for crime, you'll be playing on our team.
I'm a cop.
You're not a cop. You have a badge?
Not yet.
A gun?
Soon.
Not ever.
I need to get off that boat and back to being a full-time detective. And you need to stay out of prison. The best way we do that is to keep our heads down and do as we're told.
90,000.
90,000.
The department will cover it, right?
No, they won't.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
What's so? The holly makes it look Christmassy.
I'm making some magic happen.
Moment of truth.
It's working.
Music. That's what always gives me a Christmas tingle.
This is your future.
I'm in love.
I challenge you!
Everything ends in death.
Je m'appelle Brigitte. Je suis pas obéissante. Je suis piégée.
The Great Canadian Baking Show is back.
It's time to get whisked away into a magical 10.
Whisked away. I see what you did there. It has begun.
Alan, please don't start with a
Donut.
pun competition.
I got my eyes on the pies.
We got a snake on the plane.
What? Prepare for emergency landing.
Hang on, guys.
Alex likely safe. Maybe you just haven't been taking the right risks. You might find your life dancing with danger.
Watch CBC News Explore 24 hours a day for free